Guys, we've got again. I love this to be clear. We got our guy Q, his wife Kendra. Maul's on here. He's gonna leave in a second. Mike has a game. It's his son. Jamarcus will chime in eventually. We're gonna talk a little bit about rock bottom. I think it's important to know that nothing ever works in life. And if you talk to any of the people who are successful, the first thing they'll tell you when you come with your dream and all that energy, they say, "What makes you think this is gonna work?" Especially if you don't have what we like to call in business proof of concept. And proof of concept is a year's worth of work where we've either seen numbers, effort, intent, or is anyone even saying your name or knocking at your door? So we'll start this off and get right into it. You both walked them through the first time you hit rock bottom and what that looked like. What did it feel like?
What's the WWE person that did the rock bottom? The Rock, right?
Ah!
The Rock. This dude made a career out of the statement rock bottom. I think there's been mad times, unfortunately, and fortunately, right? I think the one that stands out the most for me is, dude, I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
That was like my.
That's it. That's the way, the
jam.
truth, and the light.
That was it. That's my way. That's my way out. That's how I get it done. I want to play football, and I am going to devote and commit myself to making this thing happen. Somebody told me I couldn't do it, and I did it. And
what is that called, though? Because some people live in their ego. What is it called when you are doing something to prove somebody wrong? Is there a term for it? You know what I mean?
Spite.
Ooh,
Yeah,
there you go.
No, that's definitely.
You're living in this spite. Nigga.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it was definitely spite. Like, that was a cool motivation for me, but and it's one of the few times I've been in rock bottom. And long story short, I went and played ball, and I did well. I was successful. Got through college, and then I had a stunt and an opportunity to play professionally.
Oh, shit.
And I wanted to play in arena ball. So at that time, like, the NFL was on strike, so there's a surplus of players, and there was a lot of new things coming out with the XFL, UFL, and EuroLeague was closing out. Long story short, I thought I made it, man. I got to play arena football. I had a team pick me up. I had an agent. I was like, yo, we done made it.
Nigga, we made it.
I did it. I was like, yo, we done did it. And the first team that I got picked up for, and mind you, I was working at the time, so I left college. I got a job so I could be closer to the coach that I was training with in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And so I would go to work and I would train, and I'd be able to get around all these guys, these NFL guys that were doing their thing. Like, I had Billy White shoes as the first receiver to ever wear gloves at the NFL, helping me out with my game. Kenny Irons, his dad, was helping. David Irons was helping us out with footwork and stuff. Like Justin Gatlin and Olympian helping us out with our 40-yard dash and all that shit. Like, I thought I was gonna do it, and then I got the call, and I went to go play for this team called the Grand Rapids Fury in Michigan.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like I've heard that before.
Yeah, no, I have, yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that one.
Here it comes, nigga. So I quit my job, and I took my money, and I drove, and I went to Michigan for this guy, and I went with a couple of teammates and people that we've been training with because they were building a roster, and they came and recruited us and got us up there. And we did all the things, man. Like, we had the summit. We were getting ready to do our media days. And then the weekend before our first game, we're in a hotel that was paid for by the team, and somebody knocked on the door and was like, hey, y'all got to go. And we were like, what you mean we got to go? He said, oh, well, we never got paid for this. I'm like, no, the team's got it. Call dude. So the dude answered his phone. Long story. He answered his phone. He's like, you know what, just stay in my condo. I'll take care of y'all. So we moved, and we went to his condo. And then that night, somebody knocked on the door, too. He's like, hey, man, the check bounced. Y'all got to go. So find out that the guy that was the owner of the team had been using it as a laundering place and started writing bad checks.
Damn.
I quit my job, and we got kicked out of his home in the middle of winter in Michigan.
That's the fucking, now that is, I've been to Michigan, people.
Yo.
It's fucking cold there.
I'm talking freeze your nostril hair cold. And
Yeah,
I'm
just like make you angry. It's so
I'm a
cold.
country boy at this time. I ain't never been around the world. I never done anything like that. And I went over to, and I had Chucks and a borrowed jacket
That nigga's wearing socks.
Man.
by the Great Lakes.
By the Great Lakes, and the
Cold.
wind is
Chucks no
woofing.
socks.
Man.
Chucks no socks.
Oh, yeah, no, you
Oh,
tell me,
yeah.
bro, look, that's
Yeah.
what a chuck is a fucking sock.
So, I mean, and this is one of the times, looking back at it now, it doesn't really affect me, but like, I remember like just trying to get home. Like, I had just enough money in my bank account like to get me to my first game check, what I was promised. And I had to take that money and we had to like hitch a ride with some cab dude that we bribed and paid together collectively to fly out to Flint, Michigan. And I had to come back home at the time. Like, and my roommate at the time was holding things down. I was sending him money, but like I was sitting in some city that I could just fly back to. And I had to call and ask. I remember asking my little sister at the time, I was like, yo, man, like, I just need like $25 for gas so I could drive home. And I asked my brother for like $20 to drive home. And he was like, what you? And I was like, nah, never mind. But I remember getting like coins together to get a full tank of gas. Man. To drive back home to tell everybody it didn't work.
And look, and the worst part about hitting rock bottom at that point is the disappointment.
Yep. Oh, not even the disappointment, but just like now I'm got to come back and face the music.
Yeah. Because, you know, and look, this case, them niggas didn't believe you no way, did they?
No, not for the most part, no. And like, and honestly, like everybody has a lot of high expectation when you're from small town. Like, oh, he about to go. And you know, like we were in Dallas, people are like, oh, he about to go to the league. Oh, you played this. Like people like to
live in your hero vicariously through you.
And then when they find out that the dream wasn't what we all anticipated, they will crucify you.
Oh my God. You might as well walk with a cross. What about you, Kendra?
I feel like Q, like I had a lot of those moments, at least I thought they were, until I had the real one.
Facts.
Right? So I'm pretty resilient, and I would just be like, cool, we're going to adjust. This is going to be fine. The lies that we tell ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So we keep adjusting. For me, it was right before we moved here. Like I had worked very hard. I'm from DC area. I worked very hard to move to California. That was my dream. And I did everything in California to stay. It's so expensive. I worked every job. I did everything. Started my own dog walking company.
And they walk dogs in Cali, man. Let me tell you this.
Yes, we do.
Dogs.
We do. So,
what you have, like 5 or 6? No, you had more than 9 neighborhoods that your team covered.
Probably 6 when it was me and Summer. Yeah, my business partner. So we were working for a larger company. She ended up doing her own thing, and we split off, and it was great. And I had my boss, now my business partner, and it was wonderful. I was like, I get to be outside all the time. I get to be with these dogs. You know, get through COVID, make it through. I'm like, yo, I did all of this. Got those PPP loans they weren't trying to give us. Did all of that, right? I was on the computer every day getting loans, keeping this going. And at that time, my husband Q was like in and out of work. So I was like, this is on me. You know, at least in my eyes, I felt that way.
That was rock bottom number 3.
So, yeah, we haven't even got to the rock bottom yet. But before we moved here, everything with his mom, like, and all of that pressure from my life just started to hit. And we've talked about mental breakdowns a lot. I felt like I started having them like every couple weeks.
Oh, shit.
Like, I was just like completely just could not handle anything. It was like almost like a autistic meltdown all the time. Like, just like, can't do this, freak out. So as we kind of, me begrudgingly decide to come here, because I didn't want to leave everything I built. He's like, yo, mom she barely made it at that time. And you know,
your mom, to be clear, she was in Texas, right?
No, she's in Alabama. No, she was in Alabama. Oh, but we moved here to be closer, because if we had to get in the car last minute, it's 10-hour drive.
That's not bad.
So
10 hours is not bad.
We've driven coast to coast. So 10 hours, we're like, you know,
it's night and day.
We got a playlist for that. So, you know, we do that, and we go, you know, we're like, we got to be closer to mom. I'm like, okay. So I had been clinging, and I know we're getting to this later about holding on to things.
Oh, yeah.
Holding on to my business so tightly, because everything else I felt that somebody had tried to take from me. My people before me, I got them jobs. They were stealing from my business. They were stealing from clients. They were like, every time I was like, hey, I need your help, they would just do something. And I'm like, no one can take this from me. I built this with my friend. She's still with me. I got all this. So as we're leaving, I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this business. I really don't want to leave it. So I entrusted somebody with it. We had a plan of buying me out over a couple months, and I'll basically position them to be me and take over and do their own thing. We talked about it forever, went over all the steps, broke it down. Man, as soon as I left, this person just started trying to take clients and do all this stuff. And just ultimately, like, I had to make a decision, like, am I going to fight this and cost my family all this money that we're trying to rebuild and be away from mother-in-law and do all this stuff because of something I want to hold on to? And with, most of my clients were great. A lot of them really weren't. Like, looking back at it, they were really rude to me and treated me like I was just like some service, low, like, you're just a dog walker. And I'm like, this is my livelihood. Like, this is how I support myself and my family. I built this. Yeah. So, like, I'm just as important as you. It's just with animals. And this is something I care deeply about. So for me, like, feeling that betrayal of someone that, like, I'm like you, I'm honest to a fault, and I, like, speak the truth. And when I ask you something, and I'm going to ask you 3 times, and you lie to me, like, that is the thing for me. Like, I'm set off. So having that person completely flip, like, just take all of my business, steal my business information, do all this stuff, I absolutely lost it. And, like, absolutely just, like, lost my cool. And I was like, this whole year I've spent that time recovering, now realizing that that was a symptom of what we talked about earlier, patterns with my father, of holding on to people, giving too much. I did the same thing for this person, and they took. And at that point, I'd been taking everything for so long, I just was like, fuck all of you. Like, fuck, I told everybody about themselves. I was like, no, this.
They never... That you let the shit hit the fan.
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
She waited till she had the fucking explosive meltdown.
Yeah,
huh?
because I had to, like,
oh damn.
My husband's sitting here, like, trying to get a job. His mom is, like, she almost died 3 times in that couple months. Like, we're trying to figure out if we can stay. Like, there's all this stuff. I got employees I'm responsible for. And I just hit a limit because for so long, I just been grinding and pushing, and stuff keeps happening, wiping under the rug, and keep going, right? And you just keep on stepping. All of a sudden, it hits a limit, and someone does something that is just so hurtful to you that you're just like, no. And then I just had to say something about it. Damn. This whole time being here, feeling like, you start rethinking and ruminating on everything, and then you're angry, right? And you let that anger come up, and you got to let it come up, but not let it consume you, right? And then you sit back in it, and you're like, what is my part in this? Like, what did I do to allow these things to repeatedly happen? Because it's about me. It's happening to me. It keeps happening. So what am I allowing, right? So at that point, taking the one thing I had worked really, really hard for was it. And I was like, I need to do something different, because, like, this is it. Like, this is the last time somebody does something like that to me. And now it's costing me money and peace, not just peace. So then I was like, okay, I need to reevaluate everything. And just since we've been in Dallas, I've just completely isolated myself to, like, work through this. And not in a way of, like, intellectualizing it, but actually feeling. And I think that's the difference, right? Like, you can think it through to death, but you got to actually feel your pain and sit with it, and then work through that and get on the other side of it. And that's when, like, the clarity comes. And I will say my husband was a big part of that, because, he was telling me the whole time, he's like, watch out for them, do this, and he's telling me this. And like we were saying before, I just wasn't listening to that guidance. And, so coming around to the other side of that and being like, this was a big, big lesson of how I don't want to be treated and how I don't want to interact with people anymore.
So what was it that made you feel like you had actually reached rock bottom then? Because that scenario sounds fucking dreadful, like awful. And then from a business standpoint, I'm guessing you learned a few new things. And then It sounded like the most important part, which accountability.
Yes.
If you become a victim of your own choices, allowing people to step on you,
yes.
People are gonna do what they allowed to do, really.
Facts.
And so I tell you this, nobody ever walks in and think they're gonna get over on me. They'd be like, matter of fact, everybody keeps people away. They're like, look, oh man, don't go in here and say nothing stupid or crazy, because he's not all there. And don't take anything disrespectful. He doesn't know that he shouldn't say certain things. So he's just talking, right? But they understand that because I'm looking for the truth. Like hey, I want you to meet so-and-so. I've been around wealthy white people. What do you do? And they're not asking what do you do because they're about to go somewhere else with it.
Right.
That was the fucking setup so they can see how well you may know your business, right? Mm-hmm. So in this case, what was the feeling or the moment where you're like, this is rock bottom? Because you got your husband sick, he's getting a new job. Life is good. It's not the worst thing in the world. But where's the rock bottom moment at?
I think like I finally felt anger. Like I had been holding it back because I was like, I don't want to be. Anger was bad because my dad was always angry. And when that anger came out of me and I finally like gave it a voice, I was like, oh, we are at our limit. Now we are like going to turn, as you've been saying, Trevor, I'm going to turn to that other side that's also in me that I've been running from. And I was like, if I don't start dealing with this anger and all of this stuff that's occurred, I will flip into that side and be a person that I don't want to be. So I think,
and you learned that in your 30s, right?
I'm 39, but
oh, you just turned 30.
we on the other side. But no, like it's a lot of different lessons. But I think it had to be in a way that I think rock bottom's a way that's so painful to you. Because other people hurt me, other things happened, but I was like, whatever. But it's a way that it could only sting and hurt in a certain way that'll fuck you up so much that you're like, I got to do something different. This is out of alignment.
Yeah. Okay. So your rock bottom was your emotional response to what took place. You're like, damn, they took me somewhere I haven't lived or went emotionally in a long time. It wasn't necessarily all the shit that happened. It's the way you had to respond to it.
I think it was both because nothing like for me when things don't have to happen. Like I'm like you. Like if I'm asking you if you're lying to my face, like that is the biggest trigger for me because I'm like, it doesn't have to be this way.
You guys are used to dealing with liars too, huh?
Yes.
That's crazy.
So it's like
I'll call a nigga a liar and walk off.
Yeah.
Like my man.
But it was like a cascading of events that were occurring the more I got to know myself and start to set my boundaries. And that was the final step. And I was like, oh no. And I was like, okay, well, that needed to happen. I needed to say those things. I needed to set that was not okay and, do all of that. But it's like, now I know how I want to moving forward.
Yeah.
But then I started processing everything I hadn't processed for 20 years.
Now, Q, you've told us a little bit about, kind of like working with your wife. And I know you talked to us a little bit about friends and various things she had dealt with or gone through. But in terms of you helping her decipher, hey, this person's not good, that person's not good, such and such. What was it like on the other side of supporting her in this time where she's mentally at capacity in terms of, dealing with whatever was going on? Because, if you allow too many people in, oftentimes you get this, there's a lot of clouds. I tell people, how somebody called that you don't want to talk to, you look at the phone and all of a sudden, like you've had a good day, that what you be like, oh, fuck. If I have an all fuck moment, you're getting blocked because I don't want any clouds in my head about what we're about to discuss. It's some bullshit. And I've accidentally answered the phone a few. Like, oh, I got it. Now I believe in penance. So I'm like, this motherfucker got my number. I don't even I got to deal with this shit. It's my fucking fault in the first place. Hey, what's going on? but from a husband standpoint and partner standpoint, supporting standpoint, things that it sounds like if you've listened to other episodes, you maybe not totally know how to be the best at in times. And I mean, I could be speaking for you, but I know for a fact I'm not the best emotional support for nobody. I'm like this. You're like, yo, so-and-so died. I might laugh. Like, oh, that's crazy, man. How you doing? You good?
I think you are more than you realize, though.
Yeah, but remember when old girl said something? I was like, yo, what the fuck she want me to say?
No,
bro?
I 100% agree with that. But when you want to talk about someone to talk to gain clarity and guidance and advice from, I mean, from that point of view.
No death.
Yeah, that part also.
No death. I don't get it. I don't feel bad. In my opinion, to be clear, when my grandfather died, my mom's got her head on my shoulder. I'm looking at my grandfather. I love the death in his casket. I don't fret. I didn't shed a tear because every time my grandfather called me or my mom said, your grandfather needs to see you, I made it a just to go there and do right? So whether there was nothing left on the table. That man was 80-something years old. He lived the best life he knows how. To be clear, it's never good to watch anyone you love suffer. So I didn't see him deal with the cancer or anything crazy. He died in his sleep. He literally said, hey, if I go to sleep they brought him back a few times. He said, don't wake me up. I'm tired. And that was it. But I could also say that every chance I got in living moments, I was there. But I'm setting it up because I know we've all talked about how we're all growing and learning how to communicate. And, it's interesting for me to hear a guy like Q talk about how impactful it was for us to show up at your soccer game when we saw him. He's like, yo, that really meant a lot to wifey, and she's never had the support of. And I'm like, this is a problem. This is like a real thing. It was that important.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm just fucking do it. Because you're like, hey, you gonna go to my game? No. It's no
But if
explanation.
you're
It's
not
not
used
going.
to that, and you're like used to people saying things and then doing the opposite, then it's
Yeah.
like when people actually show up, you're like, oh, you don't expect it, and it's such a welcome surprise. And it seems small to you, but it's huge to me because people are always doing the opposite. And granted, going back to what I was saying, I surrounded myself with familiar things, right?
Yeah.
Is what we do. We repeat our patterns.
Yeah.
So you have to look at yourself. Like, I don't want to be like, it's all my fault, but I have to be like, what were the patterns I was creating to keep causing these situations for me to get hurt? If I don't, because I only have control over me, so I have to think about it that way. But I know we're going to have him say like,
what he was dealing with. Was she easier or harder to deal with at home when she was dealing with this time? What was you managing actually?
Well, I think the biggest challenge for me was being so in that stage of our relationship, we were still relatively simple in the sense that we experienced life, but we were still getting into it, right? So I think the hardest part was that she would protect the people that were hurting from her and fight me. At least that's my perspective. So I'm the new guy coming in here, and she's defending these people that are harming her, and versus defending my position and exiting them. And I had to recognize as a partner that it's not my job to save her from discomfort. It's my job to hold her down once whatever the disappointment hits. And also, this is a big thing in terms of mentorship and leadership and just being around people. It's like, I want my mother fantastic at protecting me from pain. And I think that it was the biggest thing within myself is I had to recognize that she had to experience this pain. And then not only experience it and let me show up and be visible there. She had to deal with life on her own. And that's hard. I can't imagine parents watching their kids hurt. And you got to just experience this hurt because it's a life lesson and you're going to grow from it. So for me, I think the biggest challenge was nothing I said mattered. If anything, if I tried to impart and be like, hey, man, this shit's happening. Nope, you don't know shit. You don't know me. I don't even know you. I'm like, yo, man, this person is that. Like, whatever that was, the response that the people that were hurting her deserved, I got.
Man, so and you had to stay strong in those moments too.
Protection that they didn't deserve, they got. And I think for me, that was the hardest part. Is just to watching someone, like you mentioned earlier, it's hardest thing to do is watch someone you love suffer. And I think that I have to change my mindset now. It's like I had to watch her grow.
That's a good way to look at it.
Like although it was hard to watch it, the more I tried, the less impact that I had. So I think that was the biggest challenge.
Do you better trust his judgment now that you're on the other side of what's going on?
Yeah, I think, but that's because kind of what you were saying is like and what we were saying in the podcast before is like, you're giving me all this information, but for me, like, I felt like some of my needs weren't being met by him. So I'm like, I need to feel safe. I need to feel this. And you're not making me feel that way yet.
And you were communicating that too.
As well as I could at the time. I have the verbiage for it a little bit more now because I was more in survival.
Isn't that so crazy how that works? Is that we oftentimes don't have the vocabulary. And I didn't understand that when I was younger. And I'm not old people, but you go, what vocabulary is needed to coexist in this room with business, right? Mm-hmm. When even if you hear a simple word like attrition, they say, what's the attrition rate? You go, what the fuck is attrition? And you go look it up and you say, oh, how many people lose their job or quit, per se? It's that simple. Why did you just say that? That's not the verbiage when we put it on paper, right? Because it's a percentage of whatever. But so you slowly but surely find a way to better communicate. And you guys are going down this road. And I got to ask now that we're here, how fast did you guys get married? What was from date to what happened? Like,
I have no business getting married. Like,
I mean, that's what I'm getting. But you guys pulled this trigger.
I don't agree with him. He says that this is my first marriage.
We should have got married like
until
today.
I was 35, 36 when we met. So sorry. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted to feel or intuitive what I wanted. And when he came along, I was like, yep, that's it. And I never felt that in my life. So we both, I was like, listen, I have some issues I am working through. I know this because I'd done counseling alone for so long. You bring somebody else in, it is a magnifying glass to your issues. Like, I don't care who you are, your issues will be magnified. So we started doing counseling like immediately. And we got married like a year in because I'm like.
It was also during just to
COVID,
set the stage
yeah.
too. It's like she had gotten out of a very tumultuous relationship.
Jesus.
I'd chosen to move cross country to just breathe and rest. And I was dating, back in the dating game, looking for dating and surrounding myself with people that necessarily weren't good for me. And when we connected, for context, that was the game in the background.
Yeah,
she's into it. Go ahead. I ain't mad at you.
I don't know if it's healthy that she watches those things.
Yeah, so we were connecting. I was healing. Like, I moved to California to heal, and I done with the date. I was like, you know what? I'm deleting this app. I'm good.
The apps, that's a thing, huh?
It's a thing, bro.
You know what?
It's
I
actually
trained
quick
a guy
marketing.
once, and he
It's terrible.
goes, Trev, you got to get on this Tinder thing. I get on there.
Nah.
I was like, what's going on here? And this was years ago, bro. And I remember, so I said, oh, shit, this is a girl from Shawnee Mission, so I can get off this motherfucking app, nigga. This is trouble. And I didn't get it, so I was like, I'm done here, buddy. It's Instagram, but dating app, too.
Yeah, I was good on it. I was like, I'm done. And we connected and just started talking. And it wasn't long. She was like, I know what I got. I ain't about to throw you back to the wolves. Girl, I know a good man when I see him. And I was like, all right, well, fuck it. Like, she came to my crib, and I was asking her about her life and just, like, who she was. She's like, nah, you better ask all these feelings. You my man? I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And she's like, You know, our whole relationship was like one-upping.
Shit, just
I was
competitive as shit from day one.
Yeah, you wanna talk about anxiety? Cool, I'll talk about it. Well, you want to be together? Sure. So when we did not.
Oh, damn. So she put the pressure on a little bit.
No, she thought she did.
You know what's so
You
funny?
can't put me under pressure. I'm gonna do what I want to do.
You got to say this too, Kendra, because women get fixated on something like a dog, and they like when they know what they like.
Okay.
They don't care what's going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, he meant fixated the way that his animals do. He is not making the correlation of a woman and a dog. I got scared. My sphincter puckered when he said that. For all of you good men in the background, women, please don't get in the comments and rip this man a new one. He's good.
Please do.
He's vetted. We got him, girl.
Hey, I got all my shots. That's all that matters.
But yeah, you say they get fixated on an object?
They just, a woman could know you a dirtbag, but if she believes she can make you a better bag, she'll be like, he's going to be a good boy, and they'll dial it in and just be like, I got to have this guy. This is like, he could be, why is that? You got to answer this. Nigga could be the worst nigga on earth, but if she believes there's an inch of hope, she's going to get this nigga a chance. Why is that? Do you know?
I can't comment on that because that's definitely not me. I saw men as more replaceable, to be honest with you.
Oh, shit, that's good.
That's the difference
she's
between having a dick and a vagina.
Yeah. So for me, like...
that's a whole nother thing. Listen, because look.
Because you're like, can I have something? Like, I have it.
Well,
should you have it?
Yeah.
They are the bank tellers, the bank holders, the withdrawers, the depositors. They're like, I ain't gonna be no deposit today, nigga.
They are the bank, and they choose their consumers.
I can't agree with that because I was like, I was raised by a single mother with 6 kids.
And you're fine. Let's just call it what it is.
You're sweet. So I was like, I don't need a man. Like, I'll need him for this and maybe some fun, but like, I don't need
I need
him.
somebody to hang up my paintings.
And
that's it.
Build a few shelves.
So like when I met Q, like I was in a transitional time. Like I was like really, I didn't know where it was going, but I knew something needed to be different. And then when I met him, because I'm realizing like my anxiety is from things that aren't aligned with me. I'm not an anxious person. It's just something isn't aligned and my body's telling me. Mm-hmm. So when I met him, it went away immediately. And I was like, oh, that doesn't happen at all. And I just wanted to learn more about him. And I was curious. And he made me feel, I've never felt this way about a man in my life. And I was like, I need to know more. And I need to know this. And then like,
I also told her no.
He did tell me no. And I don't like that shit.
Hey, look, I ain't never met a woman who want a nigga to be like, no, thank you. What?
Yeah. I told her no.
I'm the one that says
She's
no.
like, I'm the prize. I'm like, as am I. And, I was like, nah, that's not happening. And she was like, like, I told her no. And I think she appreciated that. So kind of to your question, like we started off our relationship, like the first date that I went on, I could see her pretty clearly in terms of being fatigued. I know what fatigue looks like. So I took her to a yoga class and
like,
that was great.
Strengthen you up.
And then we had some conversations over beers and like she mentioned her fears and anxiety things she was dealing with and I didn't flinch. And that kind of set the stage for the relationship. So our relationship was very unconventional. So when we decided to get married, I was at a mastermind and I was working and I saw like I told myself I was never going to get married again. And I met her and she's like, I'm not getting married again. And I was like, cool, we could be partners and live in the same place and work this out. And as we got connected, I saw a guy that had a wedding band. I was like, yo, I could wear a wedding band. So I took a picture and I sent it to her. And I'm in the middle of a mastermind, so I'm fully engaged in what's going on. I sent her a picture. I was like, yeah, man, look at this wedding band. And she's like, oh, here's my wedding dress. Here's the venue.
It did not happen like that.
How did it happen?
I didn't have a wedding dress picked immediately. I
Child,
was like,
I got the messages. You want to play back the tape?
I was like, let's do it. You want to do it? And then you're like, oh shit. And I'm like, no,
and before I could respond, you're like, here's the wedding dress.
We had a wedding plan in 4 weeks.
Yeah. So we
hey, they all, look.
We also entrepreneurs though, so we had that done in a week.
Listen, in her mind, she didn't have it, but in her mind, she had it.
Yeah.
And Key said, they be trying to pretend
she
like
was G waiting on no boy.
They're subconsciously sitting there.
Nigga, that motherfucker, she didn't see enough dresses to know which one she wanted.
She knew what she wanted. She been looking for that shit.
Any woman tell you, I wasn't looking for no wedding. I had no dress.
Look at how hard she's smiling. She about to break.
She's like, you're lying.
I'm just saying, like, he was different because I never want to get married. I never want to have kids. I never want anything. And I had to sit back and I was like, one, that's because of what I saw. Because to me, it was like getting married means you're going to get divorced and I'm going to have to raise kids by myself. And I don't want to do that. So in my mind, what was modeled to me, I didn't want. And then also being around the wrong people for me, I never had that desire. So when he was there, I was like, oh, I'm more open to these things. And the more we've grown and changed and overcome things, and the more he's like consistently shown up, like the more I've been more open to that. Because again, if you have a toxic parent figure, you have someone show up in your life consistently, no matter what, and you're pushing them away. Maybe you're not handling things the best sometimes, or you're like, yo, I'm difficult. And they're like, okay. And they just keep showing up. You're like, oh, all right, maybe you are safe. And I think that's something that people with parent issues, mother or father, they don't have someone being consistently there and supportive.
Guys, and listen, when we're talking about rock bottom, you say, hey, how did you guys get to this place about this? Do you know what it's like to get to a rock and not be able to get up? Some people don't. You've heard a few episodes where Money, myself, and Jamal and Parker, we talked about depression, depression, men not having a place to be depressed, and looked up to like, you get punched in the face, get the fuck up. You lose your leg, you better walk with the right leg or whatever leg is gone.
Better hop.
Yeah, men don't have a place to feel down or safe. So when we're getting back to, or just even dial that all in, you got two people who were in it sounds like they were in the same space mentally on what they didn't want to lend their energy to. Or even, I don't need the identity of being married, but hey, why not? This happens in such a quick time and it tends to work. And the key to any relationship is identifying what the workload looks like. So I've said this before, Jamarcus is on the mic now. I said, I did a post where Jamarcus has been around for about 10 plus years, man. Known him since I was 18, but if not younger. But he's been around working with me for 10 years. And in 10 years, he's just now getting it. Literally just now getting it. So you say, what are the best relationships? It's when we're working towards the same goal. And this doesn't mean it's going to work always. Which we got to show up and figure out what the work looks like and how to move forward. So I'm never going to push marriage. I'm never getting married, to be clear. I'd rather walk off a bridge. I'm never having.
Sounds like Kendra.
Yeah, no, and this, look, I love
same issues.
This is the beautiful thing is even seeing these two because it's like it seems very cohesive in a sense, right?
It's interesting, man, because this is the first and only relationship in my life that I don't need. I don't need you. I don't need her.
Isn't that crazy too?
I don't.
And that's why it works though.
I don't need her. She doesn't need me. I choose her.
Yeah, and it is a choice.
And she chooses me. And like that's like if we want to break down and go into anxious and avoidant attachment styles and all those things.
Oh man.
Yeah, but like
I read about the anxious one.
Yeah.
Because people who have almost separation anxiety like a dog and are used to people abandoning them, they get in every little thing gets them anxious when they find something that they really like. That's and then what ends up happening? They push it away. Yep. Because they're like, whoa. And it don't never work on me because I'm way too independent.
And that's an avoidant attachment style. Where I don't need nobody, will need no one number, but the really thing that you want is exactly what you're avoiding. Because of the same reason that anxious person
you only find safety within yourself.
Yeah.
Yep. So like, yeah, man, I think that the reason that this works is before because we played around. I was at the mastermind. I sent it, and she sent all that stuff. I'm like, oh shit, we're getting married. Like we chose to get married, but before we actually signed up and did it, I remember we were at the JW Marriott in LA, and we had a weekend to ourselves. And I had in a room. I was like, look, man, I know we were just kind of laughing around and talking about us getting married, but like, I had to like pull my mask off, and I was like, look, I'm fucked up. I don't have it figured out. I don't know where I'm going. And I've been through this before. I've been married. I'm still trying to discover who I am. Like, if we're going to do this, I need you to understand how fucked up I am. And also, I need you to commit to growing with me. That's one of my commitments. That is one of my non-negotiables, is that we have to grow together and evolve together. Because if I don't have somebody hold me accountable to that shit, this shit ain't going to work. And she looked at me. She's like, bro. And I'm like, snot bubbles, like, my shit's all fucked up. And she's like, yeah, you good. You're not as bad as I think. You're good. And I'm willing to do that. And I think that, I was like, all right, bet. So if that's the case, you want to go and get married? She's like, yeah, let's get married. I said, when you want to get married? And I was like, ooh,
tomorrow, nigga.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, that was you. Yeah.
I was like, that's a dope-ass date. I won't forget
4 or
it.
5 weeks, man.
I was like, yeah, sure, we can do it. So it was during COVID, and I feel like relationships in COVID are like dog years. They're elevated like 5. You can make through COVID, losing your job and the world stopping, quarantining with somebody. I feel like that's yeah, let's get married under fucking traumatic situations.
Because it's trauma bonding.
Yeah, indeed. And honestly, like, I feel like that's been our relationship because, we kind of started off at rock bottom, right? Like, I've had multiple times in my life where rock bottom, quote unquote, is how I felt. I feel like rock bottom is when you're a stubborn fuck and you keep trying to do things and you're not paying attention to the flow that the universe is putting in front of you, or you're a creator, a God, whomever, or whatever gives you comfort. But when you're not listening and you're not willing to let relationships go, you're putting yourself in a room that you have to fight and work to be a part of. And I don't say work from a good way, like stress and feel and hurt. And when you finally have to get sat still and God's like, nope, fuck everything. All these relationships is all going to blow up in your face and you need to feel that shit so I can guide you. And I feel like that rock bottom is where all of the bullshit is stripped aside and you're left with just yourself. Mm-hmm. And in that moment of all of the pain from whatever you're using, whether it's drugs, whether it's relationships, whether it's sex, or whether it's money, all the things that you think make you feel good no longer exist. And you're forced to sit with yourself and choose to be aligned. I feel like that is rock bottom. And you can have the choice of being aligned, or you can have the choice of staying in the fuckery. And that's where you get people with these wounds that start wounding people around them in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I feel like rock bottom is, looking back at all this place, like my divorce was terrible, man. I mean, every deliberate way that someone can fashion a narrative to harm you publicly, that's what my experience of it was. Damn. And, sitting in that shit and being still, wanting to end your life, all those voices get louder, and making a decision, you know what? I'm going to live. And I feel like that's what rock bottom's designed to do. It's like a course reevaluation. It's like, spamware, we need to go ahead. The computer's locked up, control alt delete ain't working, unplug that fucker. Let's go get the upgrade and let's revisit this tomorrow. I actually the rock bottom part is mad dope, man, because if you can get past the pain and get to the lesson, I feel like that's where a springboard for ultimately scaling. Like you look at a business, and Trevor, you talk about this often, like business going in and looking at their workflow. The business workflow is fucked. What do they come in and do? They get rid of people. It's uncomfortable. They take 6 steps back to go skyrocket and scale forward. I feel like that's what it is in terms of life for us as well.
Well, that's interesting, people, because, I don't think I ever come off the rocks. So when I'm listening to people,
it's funny you say rocks when we got freaking Tyrone Biggums on the screen.
It's one of those things where I've never not been at the bottom, but I've also never not felt like I wasn't at the top. And so my buddy Rich, he does a good job. He says, "Shit, nigga, I remember you was acting like you had $1 million followers before you had it because you had a plan." And what I'm very good at is planning, and I can pivot relatively well, but I can always say and reiterate, I've definitely been at the rock bottom stage for a long time, because it does take all the stuff we're doing with the dogs, you know, and building this business, it took all the stuff I did with the kids to pour into those young men. And you know, you look up, you still have nothing to show for. So now it's like, what can we do to change the, you know, level the playing field and change our own outcomes, right? And then what does rock bottom mean? Well, I've had people, I've been there, try to bring them up, bring them with you, and it just didn't work, right? And if anything, if you thought you were moving slow, you were really moving slow now. Because now I got to talk at that fucking small bus level just to get a nigga to see his own values, but he didn't have a lot of value because he didn't get it. He didn't get what you were trying to achieve, and he couldn't see the bigger picture. Then potentially he was a thief. So many things, right? Nigga steal $500 from you, and he was like, my nigga, I was going to give you $500,000. All we had to do was execute this plan, right? So when I'm hearing both of you work through, you know, you being a supportive person at rock bottom, I don't know that you were there. You're new, so you didn't deal with a lot of his rock bottoms, even though you came into probably one of the lowest moments in his life, or were there, you know, through him losing his mother. I can't personally even identify, like, what, I don't know what the top feels like.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm at the rocks unless I'm at the top, and I ain't at the top, so I'm at the rocks.
I think that's what high achievers deal with. You know?
Yeah. Even that mentality, right?
You look at what Kevin Hart said, like he was worth $200 million at the time. He's like, man, I always see myself as that kid living in Philly in my mom's apartment, broke, and that's where that hustle comes from.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, I think that is definitely the wound of experiencing the bottom. But I also think that's like kind of the drive that sets motherfuckers different. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of successful people, they're like, they don't feel that shit.
They don't. You know? They don't think. It's funny because there are people who want to be this person, and then there are the people who are that person. Yep. And the only thing you ever highlight, you know, even shout out to Wayne Johnson. I'm not a huge The Rock fan, but I love his process. So when you look at, you know, him in the Tooth Fairy to Gridiron Gang to being the highest paid actor and never be an actor, he wanted to shift. He did the Ballers TV show. He said this man's first movie to his last movie are better movies. And it's because he really dialed in and honed in his craft. And the craft is, can he outwork people? And then guess what? He only highlights realistically him doing good stuff. It's making business moves and helping people help themselves.
Nobody talk about Tooth Fairy no more.
That's my point. We're not going backwards because the man is still moving forward. So
nobody talks about the Tooth Fairy.
But
or what's
Tooth Fairy?
Tooth Fairy, or what's the one where he had the people's eyebrows? Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Scorpion King. Terrible movie.
Terrible movie. Now it's like you going to see The Rock.
Yep.
You know, and it was the same way with when Denzel. Most people don't know. One of Denzel's first movies was Stephen Biko, playing an African, kind of like Nelson Mandela type guy. But point is this: whatever journey you're on, if ever you start thinking you've got it, and I do remember, like, if you think you got it, it's like this. They say if a magician starts believing his own tricks, that's when he starts failing. Don't never believe that you're so magical that you can't get back to the rocks, or that you're actually doing something. And The Rock and others, you see constant videos of him up at 4 a.m. getting his workout in. What changes in a successful person's routine? Nothing, because in their mind, they ain't shit. And everyone else's mind, oh, you got all this going for yourself. Not really. I got more work to do. Everybody else gets caught up on getting there and just, oh, I got there. Got to move on. These guys are like, how much further can we take this, right? So if you guys had to give any advice on people dealing with whatever rock bottom looks like to them, what would be some things you would tell them? Because I live there, and I think even when we have the finances to and the space and the land and all these other things we're going to create, in my mind, there's still more work to do. So I don't know that I'll ever come off the rocks, but at least I know where I stand.
Go ahead, babe. I got a thought, but I want to hear what you got to say.
Man, that's a big question. I think stop overthinking it and like start feeling it is the first thing that I thought.
Facts.
Because we try to think our way out of stuff, and even I do that. I ruminate a lot on things and how I could have done things differently. But the real thing is behind the anger is a disappointment and a sadness, and I've never allowed myself to feel that. So I'm only going to go as far as I allow myself to see the truth and to feel. So if I don't recognize what's actually here, I accept it. It's called like radical acceptance. And
She's got a word for everything. This is amazing.
I'm really into therapy. So like there's a type of therapy.
Epigenetics.
Epigenetics. But there's a type of therapy that is used for people with trauma, and it's called DBT. I believe it's dialectic behavioral therapy. But they talk about radical acceptance a lot. And when I read that word, it was like, oh, I am living somewhat in this delusional space. And I have to realize what has happened, what my patterns have done to cause this to happen, and how can I shift that? So, like, you have to break it down. Feel the feelings, because I've always run from the feelings all the time. I'm like, whatever, we'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that later, until they all came out. And they just came out everywhere all the time, to where, like, I was like, I'm not a good person to be around right now, as I'm just angry. All the anger I had since I was 5 was starting to come out everywhere. So, like, you have to feel that anger. And I told him, I was like, yo, sometimes if I'm just like, yo, I'm done, let me just go be angry by myself, because I got to get through this to realize what's underneath it. And it was sadness, and it was disappointment, and it was betrayal, and it was this. And when you realize that, it's like, and you can start accepting all those things, then you can kind of start moving forward, because you can't move forward if you don't accept and feel those feelings. And it sucks to sit in your shit. Mm-hmm. It really does. And you have to have people there to, like, help you out and pull you up, and
people that can take a punch.
take a punch. And he had his moment too when we first met, that he had, and I was just like pulling him off the ground to get him up to go outside and go do something. And like, we really need to have those people around that can help us through that, because everyone's going to go through it, right?
You can't avoid it.
You can't avoid it. And then if you lean into it, it goes through that much quicker. I fought it for this whole year and a half. Like, we've been here almost. And then when I finally was like, fuck it, I'm just going to be mad and sit here and just feel it and cry all that I want to cry, feel all I want to feel, write everything, get everything out. Then it started to, like, shift. And then also, you know, he showed up, his dad showed up, his family showed up. And they're just like, I'm going to keep loving you. I don't care if you're sad. I don't care if you're mad. I'm going to keep showing up for you. But ultimately, I mean, you have to, and I could go on forever about this, but you have to show up for yourself, and you have to get through that point to get back to who you should or could have been before all these things happened, and before you develop this story because of all the things that happened.
That's my baby.
So if you think about, like, all of us in here talking about our childhoods and stuff like that, like, you know, we grew up too quickly, and we didn't get a chance to be creative, to explore, to, like, learn the way we wanted to, express ourselves the way that we wanted to. And it's like, you almost have to start from zero. Like you were saying, Anthony, like, you got to start over and be a child, and then hug your inner child. And then comes the teenager part that's angry, and then you get through that. So there's levels. If you know they're coming, it makes it a little easier. But that's my 2 cents on that.
Mad facts. And I think that, and I literally reference Dr. Venus Opal Reese every time I talk, because this human being is just so real and so spot on in my spirit at the developmental state I was when I met her. But one of the things that I got from her in one of the classes she held was, you know, pain isn't good or bad, right? Pain feels the way pain feels. And if you sit with it, pain's actually really honest, and it'll tell you the truth. So if you sit in the fire of pain and discomfort, it's going to tell you the truth. And it's just whether or not you're willing to accept the truth that you hear and then take the actions to move out of the fire. Like there's no good, like life is empty and meaningless, right? We create meaning to everything. We weren't born with meaning, right? We weren't like black night and white night wasn't a thing when you were fresh out the womb. Like we create meaning. Somebody cutting you off could mean that the wife is having a baby in the back, but we say they cut me off because we create meaning. So if you're willing to sit with discomfort and pain in whatever rock bottom scenario, there's a lesson, and you have everything that you need to be successful. You already have access to. It's just whether or not you're willing to see it. So I think that removing the meaning from the pain and sitting in the presence of the pain and getting the lessons from the pain will ultimately be the catalyst that elevates you to wherever it is that you're going and supposed to be anyway. And kind of what Kendra said, I feel like a lot of the times the pain is getting us back to who we were already supposed to be before we wound up being who we wound up being. Mm-hmm. I speak in parables, but that's how I see things. I see things in principle, right? We're only getting back to ourselves before we started acting a way to protect our inner self. So, yeah, man, like I think it's embracing the fact that all growth comes with an element of discomfort. And if we can lean into that and get out of the way we were programmed to be right and start walking in the fact that we don't know shit and unlearn consistently, then that's where the freedom is. And the freedom is ultimately a platform that you could build something that you wanted versus what ended up being there. So that's kind of my take on rock bottom. If you can, I mean, I've been there enough, to be able to zoom out and like look at it, So that's my take.
Okay. Well, what I will say is, it sounds like also African Americans sometimes start spending money before they got it right. And so in this case, Q walked us through going to play football, right? And everybody starts pouring into this idea. And then when it fails, they crucify you for it. What I will say is, one of our objectives collectively, I believe even, is to build foundationally a level of wealth where we never have to go backwards. But if you didn't see forward, then you could never really move forward. So, like Kendra said, she built this thing and it was hers, right? Maul's uncle, one of these guys, a bunch of Jamaicans, his aunt ends up marrying an Italian white guy who's okay. And he was handed this success, right? Something to leverage and utilize, and then he went and did more stuff, which gave him more success. In our case, we get back to the rocks because we never really know how to like move the rocks around so we could stand strong and stand firm. So that's what I say. Even at the height of your success, you still are standing on some type of foundation, and you got to be clear about what that foundation is, because at any moment there could be a crack, or even more importantly, it might need some restructuring. Or do you come in and deal with that crack, which costs you a bag if you got a real home, to be clear. But I do like everyone's perspective on dealing with rock bottom. And it seems like an ugly place, but, Kirk Franklin's got a song called Shout, right? And he says, the pain was preparation for my destiny. And everyone has to go through something. I mean, Bill Gates gets pulled over speeding home one time because his mom's on her deathbed dying from breast cancer. Cops stop seeing him and, clearly gets a pass, but he's like, I got to get home to my mom. The best of them have dealt with things that mattered because she was the most influential person in his life. Now, did he get a baton a little bit faster than any of us are going to ever get it? Absolutely. But the point is, he too had a strong foundation, and the faith that he was given. Mark Zuckerberg, when they offered him, $1.5 billion for Facebook at 3 million users, he said, I might not have a better idea than this. I need to see this through. Think about that. MTV, what was the money? Yahoo? Mm-hmm. Yahoo and MTV offered him $1.5 billion at fucking 3 million users. And he shrugged his shoulders, lived in an apartment, says, I don't really need much. Because foundationally, his family always had faith in him. And he had a strong supportive cast. So even when I'm sitting here with Q and his wife, and we keep going back to the support thing, something to her, as she said, well, even Q, he's like, yo, that made her day. In my mind, I don't think much of it, but when I go watch my stories, which for me is all the business motherfuckers talking about these things, the one thing that's constantly stressed is not financial status or financial goals. It's like who these persons were, who they become. Even Bezos asked one time in the talk, he's an hour on stage, and he says, is it okay if I talk about my parents for a second? And he goes into this thing where before they believed in the internet or what he was doing, they believed in their son. And now, mind you, what did his parents have? $300,000 to give him. So they're literally the biggest stakeholders in Amazon, and they didn't know what the internet was, but they believed in Jeff Bezos. They's like, our son, he'll be fine. But imagine being in the company of people where the only thing we can't lose is ourselves, and the only thing we can win is anything we choose to work towards. So that's definitely my goal with these people as I sit here and we have these open-ended conversations about being at rock bottom, trying to get off the rocks, establishing where we're standing, living up to our own expectations, being who we want to be, and becoming who we're supposed to be. What do you guys think, and both of you, it's going to be the hardest part of really finding that thing that makes you tick, because you both are going on this journey, right? And I started in the last episode, but I start writing down Q's plan, and then I talk to him some more time, and it keeps who he is it shifting, but how he's thinking, it keeps like, he's got to feel like, yo, and he keeps saying, he said it out loud, I don't know what I want to do. You tell me what you want to do, boom, here's what you got to do. But he's literally, and that's what I'll go get my notepad and I put Q in the middle, circled it, and I'll show you. And by the time I got done, I said, he doesn't really know what he wants to do. I can only write a plan or a strategy out for someone who knows kind of where they want to land. And even now, those things he discussed today, those are completely different avenues that we talked about 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. That's the beautiful thing, is that he's got to figure out where he wants to land and where he wants to lean into. But foundationally, he says, I know I can't keep doing this. I got to do more. And around us, trust me, everybody gets better, which is a beautiful thing. But if you could answer those questions.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge, at least for me, is understanding, like, so who I was before my mom passed doesn't exist in this place, in this stratosphere, right? I'll never be able to have access to that person again because that was a support system for me, right? So I think being okay with the fact that I have no idea who I am without my mother in my life, and not being so jaded with the disappointment, right? So I think that's the thing, is like, you try really hard and you have your mind set on something, and when all of that unravels and it ends you back to start, essentially, like, it's very easy to be like, I'm not gonna try nothing else because everybody ain't shit, and all these people gonna hurt me. They gonna do this. Nah, fuck them, fuck this, fuck that, fuck that. And what you do is you create this little ball around you of protection that isn't any protection. It's just not motion.
Yeah.
Right. And I've learned motion, turns into emotion. Satima Gali is like one of those guys that was super motivational for me. But so I think when you are disappointed and you do get hurt, I think the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome is how you feel about that hurt, and how you've allowed yourself to be out of motion and being more comfortable, being willing to have your heart broken again. It's like any relationship, like being willing to be broken, and the vulnerability that takes, and being able to step out and be seen, and be to fail, and to be publicly shamed, or to be disappointed. All insert any of your fears into that. Being able to come back face to face with your fears, and really trusting that what you've experienced has prepared you to be able to handle it. And I'm not there yet, I'm working on it. And I think that that's going to be, for me at least, and I think a lot of people that may hear this may also say, it's like, when you get back forced to visit and deal with the person in the mirror, can you be brave enough to step back out into the unknown?
What about yourself?
Can you ask that question one more time? Because there was like a lot of thoughts that came up when you were speaking. You were saying, like, how do you get, like, where do you go from here? Kind of is what you're saying.
Fear.
Yeah. Is you guys both have said candidly, you have no clue what's happening next, or even realistically what you want to do. And you come to a new space where there's a lot of opportunity, but nothing going on. That's the truth. And so if you come from an active, lifestyle, you was building a business, you had clients, you had all these things going, you come here where things, they're not stale or stagnant, but you go, where do I fit in, and how do I stand out? What do I really want to do? And, so you're not at rock bottom anymore, because you've working through and have gone through your, emotions, if you would, and you're still learning about them, but you at least know how to, like, manage them in a sense, to not live in your head. But you say, how do you figure out what you want to do and who you are, in a sense, as you continue to go down this path? Like, where do you land? Because I think somebody would be confused, and you guys would say, be it, you sound like you know what you're doing, right?
No, we have no idea. Let's be clear.
That's my point.
So that's just hilarious.
That's the point.
That's the best joke of the day.
But keep in mind, you're so well versed in putting stuff together. You go, oh, these guys got it together. You're like, motherfucker, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
not a fucking clue, right?
I can't even tell you what I'm eating for dinner.
But so you say, well, how do you guys get out of this place you're in, and how you going to become the person that you want to be, and all these things that you're like, are there markers, are there expectations, are there dates that you've got in mind where certain things have to happen, so you like, okay, at least I know I'm not going to do that. Okay, I got to do this. And he's kind of got a deadline in a sense, because he's about to be down, and in that time he wants to, he's building his network and his community, leveraging it in a sense. I don't want to have to walk back into the place of comfort even, I want to get back out and push myself and see what else I can achieve, because I got time, but I ain't got time.
Right.
I had time.
Yeah, there you go.
I think there's two things. I'll start from the beginning, because that's the way my ADHD brain works. I have to go from 1 to 10. But I think for me right now is that I can't move forward without complete self-trust
Yeah.
and complete guidance from my intuition, which has been broken. So I have to reestablish that. Otherwise, I can keep doing stuff, but it could not be necessarily in alignment. So trusting myself, I've always had, like we were talking about before, you're like, how do people get traumatized more than others? And it's, I think, highly sensitive, neurodivergent people. There's studies on this
Man,
get
say, look at
traumatized
this.
more.
Here she goes. There's a whole movie called Divergent.
Yes, I read
so
I read
hear-
a lot of books like that. So it's like certain people have this intuition, and I've always been told it was wrong or like I wasn't right. But I've always been right about things that were for me or not for me. And I've like gone against that because I've been told it was wrong. So reestablishing that, and then I think as a woman moving in both of my, people think feminine energy is all light and nurturing. It's dark too, but being comfortable with both those sides and moving in that creative fluid space will allow things to pop up, all that stuff together. So right now I don't do anything that I'm not inspired by. So I have a business plan I want to do too of like integrative medicine where I'm just connecting people to the right people to help them heal. And I have a website up and I have everything. And it could probably go faster, but it'd be moved out of like a survival speed and mindset. And that's how I built my other business. And those are the people that showed up for me. So I don't want those people to show up. So I sit down, I block out an hour and I do what I can do. And I just let all the ideas come out and I write them out and I talk to people about it, like yourselves, and like just kind of do it from that. But like moving from a place of like intention and seeing what happens and realizing like I hate not having control. Trust me, I fucking hate it. But I'm realizing I don't have any control in anything. So like the acceptance, but also like, and then when it comes to him, it's like we've been talking a lot about leveraging, but like your partner is someone you can leverage. Like I like to be creative and I like to be in movement and I like to be doing all this. He's really good with numbers. He's really good. Like he's protective of me where I'm like very like, I want to see the good in people. Like we've been talking about that's changed a bit, but again, empathy with boundaries, but like he is more like, nope, 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 nope. But that's his natural state of being in that and like a integrating things and more business side where I like to be in a creative space. So why am I going to force myself to be like that? I tried to do that in my business and it didn't work. I need to hire someone. I need to, whether that is a mentor, another business person, whatever, who's good in their field so I can stay in my gift zone and they can be in theirs. So when I think about with him, things that he wants to do, he has a lot of ideas and I'm like, we're going to do this today. We're blocking out the time. We're getting it done. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. We're going to show up today. So we are leveraging each other.
Both of you guys, same thing I pitched before. I've seen an affinity for dogs. You're going to go out and go back to some spaces that are going to be okay. I even think AI and its use of real estate in the future is how it's going to work anyway, especially from a virtual assistant standpoint. But if we could find a way, which I think we can, especially since you're a fancier of the liquor. And funny, because when I talked to our guy Colton, who was here a couple weeks ago, dude owns Bloom, owner of the Blooms. He's just closed a $4 million round. I've known him for 10 years, and we've done so many things together, but he's another guy. When I told him, I said, yo, this guy's about to go down, and I think we could get a bottle up and do distribution style with him. What that means is every time we sell a bottle, we get a deal, he gets a percentage of all the sales. So if somebody picks it up for $100,000, basically he gets $1 off of every bottle. That makes money, right? So I think I can get a bottle up in the 3 months, per se, he'll be down. He says, yeah, why not? I know enough people to connect to get, in my opinion, definitely his force to be clear. It's funny because, Salesforce is a big business and they call it force for a reason. But the challenging side for me on where I'm sitting is you guys both are pretty brilliant people. You guys know all the big words, especially in this trauma space. I'm like, we need to have a whole just trauma goddamn podcast because y'all motherfuckers, y'all know some shit. And even when you're saying about connecting things, have you ever heard of Conifer Health Solutions? Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Conifer literally analyzes where a corporation spends their money and finds ways or holes in the finances to send you to the right doctors, along with tech that they developed. I lived at the peak, number 4 company in the world for orthopedic surgery and healthcare. I was there listening. I'm just a Negro, mind you, with no sensibility, no education, sitting in a room with a guy telling me everything that's happened in the world of health and healthcare, and you go, what the fuck is happening? This is fucking nuts. And you, mind you, you don't think, Trevor, do you know if you could reduce knee surgeries by 1% by the year 2027, you could save America $900 million? Well, how do you know that? Well, have you ever looked at the GDP? The fuck is the GDP? Gross domestic profit. How much money does America make a year? What? What are we doing, dude? What are you talking about? Now you got to go down this rabbit hole and start learning about how to analyze industries, markets where you can participate. Healthcare makes up a good percentage of what money goes into America. Just why? What is it? What's the one that old people get, the insurance? Medicaid?
Yeah.
That's also why they're trying to cut it out because it's so cheap per se. But what I'm hearing is, look, I'm very good at business. Sounds like Q's very good at operations. Sounds like you're a big dreamer. Collectively, everybody's on the right path. Jamal's leveraged because he knows how to go find the money, and I do too. If we do the work, it kind of turns into something while people still build their own dreams and their own ideas out. But, we'll talk more about that off camera or off the podcast. But people,
there's something there for sure.
There's and foundation. It's
how did it even start? Organically walking in your truth.
That's it.
I'm in a space that, whatever the case may be, being me.
Yeah.
And you in a space being you with other people. Like the energy was there. Oh, keep it moving. And it's funny that everybody that showed up in this house, I'm like, I've said something to you offline. I've said something to you offline. I said something to you offline. It's alignment and it's being sensitive enough. And I want to touch on what you said. You said, I'm in the room. I'm a Negro. I don't know shit. I'm not you was in the room. So
I knew what I knew, to be clear. I knew a lot about the human body, and they were like,
nah, bro.
The white people picked this up. They said, look, you know something. That's what they told me. I said, bro, I don't know how to do no business. They're like, it's okay. You know more about the body than anybody who ever met. And I was like, okay, well, I can help.
Yeah.
It was that simple. And they figured out the rest. And the rest has been history. And I got to learn, you said that guy gave you your MBA in real estate, right?
Indeed, yeah.
And so I tell people this: Dan gave me my MBA in healthcare and business because he forced me to do his homework. And his homework was he'd read a stack of business plans like this. And I remember having a backpack full of every business plan he bought or wasn't interested. Trevor, what'd you think about that one business? Oh man, I didn't see. He says, well, I bought it for $1.8 million, and the guy was trying to sell me 12%, but I told him I'll only give him the money if he gave me 60%. I said, well, why did he give up so much? He's been in business since 1998. They've only done $6 million a year. I think I can get my 1.8 back in 18 months. If I keep at the 12%, I'll only get my money back in 5 years. What? Mind you, he's breaking all this down, and I had no clue at the time what was going on. But I remember every detail. Now I know what's going on. Yeah. And it was pivotal, which is why we're sitting here now. But what I do know is both of you have a business background. What I do know is if everybody's been at rock bottom, means that we can survive if we fail. And we'll only fail in moments that we give up on ourselves. Because when you have a solid idea, you just got to figure out which part of the idea to really lean into, right? Really lean. Imagine if Amazon named itself the bookstore. It wouldn't be Amazon today. It had just been a bookstore. He mastered shipping and delivery. And now we see an Amazon truck, and the box just has a smile on it. You think about it, the box shows up with a smile. So I can't thank you guys enough again for sharing your truth, being a part of our journey as we try to turn this podcast into something that seems to be working. Can't appreciate everybody for liking and sharing and commenting, subscribing, and tuning and tagging us in. Oh my God, I got that next episode on, man. That shit was, that was intense. These two individuals seem like, it's like y'all bad boys for life. One of y'all Martin and one of y'all Mike Larry. And I think you Martin. Dan Kendra's Martin because that motherfucker stressed out, boy. Yeah. Mike, no.
Yeah.
We switch.
Yeah, it depends on the day.
Yeah. Depends on the day. Was there anything you want to, kind of lean into or tell them about just being at rock bottom if they're dealing with it? And then we'll close this one out because this was another good one. But mind you, it's going to be revisited a few times. Everyone we talk to, we will talk about their failures. We literally, I know 4 or 5 people worth over $10 million, and that's not a lot of money if you talk to them even. They're trying to figure out how to get more, and it's not more money, but more access to more freedom, and everyone they got a good pace to their tone. They're not trying to sell you nothing, but they are trying to figure some shit out. And guess what? They'll tell you they just got more time to figure it out than you do. Because somebody else might have to go to work day and night to get ahead. Or like Kendra said, ask yourself one question. Could you, maybe it's the way you're thinking about it, right?
Yeah, I guess on that note, for me, it's like, I wish I had somebody to tell me this right here. It's like, man, you're never doing as bad as it feels. You're not doing that bad. It feels like shit. And you got this. Just keep stepping, keep showing up for yourself, keep taking incremental improvements, try to improve on today instead of looking at the big picture. And you're never as far off as it feels.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major one because it's very easy, especially post-pandemic, and we're so digital now that we're so removed from community. And oftentimes the community that we're looking for isn't always the community that chooses us. So we get around people, but it's still not community. And it's very easy to allow that monologue to tell you that you ain't shit. And I really challenge you to sit with it and to just keep stepping. Yeah. And you'd be surprised. You keep walking far enough, and then you look up and you look back. You've still got a ways to go, but you've also covered some ground. So, yeah, man. Yeah, and don't be afraid to get help. A lot of people are not willing to get coached, to get tools. The church is amazing. That's spiritual growth. That's one part of it. However, with this journey, like, you're getting tools that you were never given. Like, if you're going
about the church being the place of spiritual growth.
I feel like the church is amazing.
You've spiritually grown because you just walked us through. He's got a new method and process. I'd be entertained for you to shoot that shit. But you've got a process in which you are, connecting to your spirit, right? And that actually oftentimes is sitting in silence. Yeah. Sitting in silence,
Indeed.
but because all I've known is people go to church, look for the good in themselves, only they can go back dirtbagging on Monday.
Yep.
I know a bunch of born again dirtbags.
It's part of it. I think religion and tools are two different things. If you're going to get somebody to coach you with your golf swing, damn sure give you somebody to give you some tools to walk through life.
Facts.
So
that's where the life coaches come in too, though, right?
Having, and also every therapist isn't for you. Like, you sit in a barber, they're going to fuck up the first time. And
if you only cut, if it's his first head he cut, and
I want to get temped on the side, and they don't temp it just right. It takes time, it's a relationship. So, you're not as far off as you think.
Yeah.
Get support, get tools, and just walk it out. Like, the worst you feel is a roadmap,
Yourself?
Yeah, I mean, he said a lot of things that I was thinking I was going to say as well. But that's what we do. One of us always does it. I think just showing up every day, no matter how you feel, I think that was the biggest lesson for me. Like, I never wanted to show up not feeling 100%.
Ooh.
And not feeling perfect. Like, perfectionism is one of those things. When you get people that criticize you, you turn into perfectionists. And I didn't want everyone to see how hurt I was and how much trauma and how much pain I was holding all the time. And like, that I thought was my limitation. And like, yeah, we reference Dr. V all the time, but she grew up in the streets in Baltimore and had a really traumatic life. And that's why when she spoke to me, I could relate to her. When you speak to me, Trevor, I can relate to you because I'm like, I don't have to say everything. I've said this much about it, but we already know with our fathers. But it's like, I didn't want everybody to know that. And the more I've like let that go and like been more open about things that have occurred, the more people have actually like shown up and I've been connected with. The more I was trying to hold it and act like it wasn't there, the less connections I actually had. So I realized that as fucked up as a lot of that was, like, and I'm not one of those people like, I'm so glad I went through that. Fuck that. That gave me a bunch of anxiety and depression. Fuck that shit. Exactly. I'm not that, but I will say that like it gave me perspective to start to move things differently and start to heal myself and realize that I can actually heal other people. But that's besides the point. I think just like showing up for yourself, no matter how you feel, and like if effort's 100% one day and it's 10% the other, you still showed up. So just keep doing that.
I love those 10% days though too.
Yeah,
because those are the days where I'll go run to the hardest hill, see how far I can put. Like, those are the days I'll add a little bit more weight because I know if that's my worst day, then don't catch me on a good day because it's a wrap.
Exactly.
And I would tell you too, if I could be of encouraging at all, it's just listen. I went to a school once and I was throwing up every 5 minutes. I ate some bad chicken. I knew it was bad. I got it from Hy-Vee back in Kansas City. And Bill Stoddard, he said, Trevor, are you okay? And I was training the kids at Blue Valley North. I said, yeah, Bill, I'll be fine. He says, is that you in the bathroom I keep hearing? And while they're doing their sets, they've got 30-minute this window, and they've got 5 exercises, 100 reps each, whatever. And I'd be like, oh, shit, I got to go back here and throw up. My grandmother, as I said, she lived a hard life, and she could never, and oftentimes when you come from a perverse mentality or a perverse environment, she never did think about taking a day off, right? So she gets sick, she throw up in every room because she just cleaned houses. But in every room, she throw up, clean that shit up, and keep cleaning. And cause it just, for 30 plus years, it's all she's known, all she's done, the only way she makes a living, right? And I'm like, I can't struggle. But because of that moment, I go, my grandmother was cleaning the house. All I got to do is give instructions and they're paying me. I can show up for these kids. I'll survive. The throw up's going to suck. And I'll just make sure they don't catch in case it happens. I'm throwing up. I probably threw up 4 or 5 times that day. And when you get into real nice white environments, the parents, they're there. They're like at the school. Like if it's like a summertime morning, some of them will show up, drink their coffee, and watch and see what's going on. They want to be involved and engaged. They don't just leave at dropping them off and moving on. That ain't happening. They're like, hey, Trevor, you okay? You're good? Hey, Trevor, I got a book for you, Unique Ability. I mean, these parents gave me all kinds of stuff, and they wanted me to read. A lot of it was pure information. And they called me in between stuff. But point is there have been many moments, as I said, I'm always live at the rocks where I just didn't overthink it. So at times I think some people overthink, it's like, am I going to get punished for the life that I've chosen, the life that I've been given, the life that I didn't choose? And you can't get punished for being you. And the people who are trying to punish you, they're not the people you need to be around.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think also like there is a time for rest, and that's what I had to learn. Is like there's a time like this is my time to not
be productive.
Yeah, to not be
quote,
productive.
Unquote.
Because this machine that we're at, man, don't even get me started on the capitalistic machine, but like it wants us to produce and it wants us to keep and, sacrifice our humanity and stuff like that. So it's like there is a time of rest, and I never gave myself that rest. And that's when my mental health kept suffering because there was no time to reset and recover. Yeah. And rest isn't a privilege, it's a requirement. And I think there is a time that you sit back and you just rest until something comes up for you and you don't just keep pushing. So there's a balance that we have to do. But again, I can be that 10% and still rest and be like, I did my work today, but I'm resting today. And so that's something I learned the hard way.
And I would tell you, Jamarcus, he's pretty loud and he's a live wire, and he could tell you this. He came in one day, I said, man, chill out, dude. And I said, look, go get a drink. And that day, all we did was watch some cooking shows and drink a bit too much alcohol. And then he went home.
Video games.
Yeah, played some video games. I said, my man, how many videos do we have scheduled out through whatever? He says, we have 4 or 5 days worth. I said, then chill out, dude. Mm-hmm. Nobody's ahead of us right now. And mind you, they all thought they were ahead when we had 83 followers a year ago, but they didn't know dogs. We got a guy here who's, he said, I've been following you guys for years. He watched me become somebody because people didn't understand value. And what I know better than anybody, in my opinion, is how to find value, sniff it out, work with it, leverage it, and make sure, like you had your moment, or guys like Jamarcus, he does a lot to make this thing keep rolling. Guess what? My man, there's going to be days where you need to just come and sit and chill. Let's throw some shots up, fucking pass out in the room. We'll survive.
I think this is growing too, what we're doing though. Like this is like filling me up. This is like refilling my cup, having these conversations. So I think this part is undervalued. Like the community, the connection, the sharing stories, the perspective of other people is all part of it too. We're just thinking about like the money and the productivity and the business, but this needs to happen alongside of it.
You look at most successful people, they basically chill with their homies. And they make money together as a resiliency. It's a collaboration.
And now you understand even why I'd love to, we've done 4 or 5 episodes with you guys, and today we've done 3. This 3 hours of podcasting, and all I'm thinking is, man, how do we build something so that we could all continue to enjoy these moments go back, enjoy our dogs. Shit, get a jet, take the dogs somewhere.
When we on the yacht.
Yeah, the yacht.
Teaching them to swim.
My dogs swim like guppies. But my point is you go, how do you create more time for people that you want to see grow? And even as you guys talked to this guy who I didn't know he was going to even chime in or say anything, but I love that was real for you because I didn't know that this was going to work as fast as it did. And I didn't know that people were going to be listening. I didn't think that anybody would care until everybody found their voice. But I'm really good at driving conversation. It just so happens you guys are really good at communicating. so you say, this is working perfect here.
Well, it's funny because we talking, and then somebody comes, and another person comes. Next thing you know, we all up in here chilling. And it's an energy. It's a magnetic energy when just authentic experience. And like you said, like, how can we all win and just share each other's space?
Yeah.
I think it's actually pretty cool because it's work. It takes time. It takes effort to get out the house and show up. You know, there's sacrifices. You know, our dogs have been all chilling, you know, but like, if you could make money just being in this space.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it takes something to get into a creative space. You can't be creative all the time.
No.
Like there's something that you have to have, like walking into this house with Jamal. It's like there's a safety that everybody in is vetted and we all good.
I mean, and just think about that. Maul's leaving to go take his son. He come up and shake everybody's hand before he leaves, man.
Tapped us up.
I mean, you think about that. Y'all don't understand. Character for me is the only thing that ever matters. When I have $1 billion, I still need to be around some good people. Mm-hmm. So even those little things, they're like, yo, I'm so glad to be even in this space with this guy and, you know, Jamarcus and the people who are advantageous to what we're trying to achieve. But that respect for these people, including myself being in his home, and
it's been a minute.
It's like it's hard to come by when there's Negroes involved. It just is, people.
It has been a minute, and for it to happen so organically and so quickly,
man,
that don't happen, man. So people have got sense. You'd be surprised.
No, I ain't surprised, man. That's why I'm here, though. You can see firsthand, like I you know, how do we just do more stuff that just keeps aligning with what we're trying to achieve, man. So can't thank you guys enough for discussing Rock Bottom. Definitely jumping on and spending, you know, your day here per se. I know Saturdays and Sundays are your off days, but if we can create more space, if we can have more time collectively, I mean, we could literally be podcasting with the drone and everything, literally on a yacht. There's so many things we could do for fun, and I don't even like water. But as I said, I got to get out there and have some fresh poke, nigga. I want to have my poke specialist just cut me up a fish right there. Man, so listen, guys, thank you for your perspective, guys. If you're at rock bottom, you got to go there. Look, every story, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you go down to the best and the worst of them, they will tell you about a time in their life where they were almost gave up, but the only thing they were going to give up on was themselves. And here's the thing. You can't ever give up on being who you got to be. Like, if the only thing you got to do in life is be yourself, it's probably the hardest and easiest thing you'll ever do once you figure out who that person is. And whether people like you or not, you got to stay consistent at being that. I've been me for a long time, and I embraced me a long time ago. I understand 100% of people probably ain't going to like me. But I tell you this, 1,000 of them respect me. They be like, yo, you don't like him, but he was honest. You mad because he told you the truth? You mad because there are people who literally told me they follow me or don't follow me, but it was the truth that they couldn't take. Like, it ain't nothing to do with me. I wasn't even talking to you. You know, I don't even know this person. I couldn't stand you at first. Huh? That's between you and God. Ain't nothing to do with me. I wasn't talking to you. I don't watch any of y'all stories, no way. So I appreciate my guy and his wife, Q and Kendra, for sitting down and, you know, sharing a moment of truth with us. I do hope this helps somebody continue to be encouraged. We got Jamarcus. We had Maul on the mic. Shout out to our guy. Your name is Anthony, right? Anthony, see, I didn't even know your name, man. They said it a second ago. I said, damn, that's his name? I would have never guessed that. But he's a support. He's just a guy who likes Fit Bully, man. And as he said, I don't promote the dogs. I promote the opportunity to be better because of the dogs. So, guys, download, like, share, comment. Someone you know needs to get the fuck up off their ass and do something more with their life. They need to be around better people. Again, don't contact us. But I do hope you find your tribe. Take care.